Welcome, everyone. You've been working all day and now it's after work. I'm Joe. This is Jessen.
Hello.
And I recently met Jessen at LI Retro over the weekend, and he was so kind to work on replacing a battery before selling me a Final Fantasy 3/6 copy that I'd been waiting to find a good cartridge of the SNES version of that game. It's my childhood, and you were able to kind of restore that back. So I'm very excited about that first off. But tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've been doing at these conventions.
Sure. Okay. So at LA Retro and at various events in New York City, including Brooklyn Games and Arcade, what I've been doing is selling some of my old games, but also Game Boys that I've refurbished, that I've fixed and set new screens in and maybe cleaned if they need it. And basically been doing a little bit of repair and restoration and refurbishing of video games and video game consoles.
Awesome, awesome. And when I came across your booth, I was eyeballing the you had like this nice little display of like some of the games and like saying like which one was which one had battery swaps and everything like that. So like I dug your setup because you even had like your soldering iron set up there, your kit there too, and everything ready to go in case something needed to get repaired and stuff. I thought that was really neat. Um, as far as like taking it all the way back, like what were some consoles that you played growing up and like some games that like you just kept going back to as a kid?
Yeah, I started playing on NES and Super Nintendo and Genesis, and that was my first introduction to video games. And after that, it wasn't really an idea that I had in my head to collect games, but I started keeping the systems rather than getting rid of them. So when it came
Smart.
time for PlayStation, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, I still went back and played all of my old games because I still had them. I never got rid of them. So I had like an entire 6 or 7 generations of systems to go back. And the portables too. So I had the Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, DS, 3DS, PSP, Vita. I went through all those, and again, just kept all my originals, and slowly starting learning about how to maintain and repair them, especially as the years went by. They never used to break, but then they started getting a little finicky. And so I had a little bit of a background in electronics, and I thought that I could do a lot of the repairs myself. And eventually that became more of the hobby than actually playing the games, figuring out how the old systems worked. Um, Maybe a long time ago, it was Wild West, where we didn't really have too many resources. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have anything other than maybe a website or two that had some schematics here and there. But now we have so many more resources to kind of keep the machines going. And I'm trying to do a little bit of a business, some say a side hustle, of just
That's a business. You're
yeah.
kind of everywhere.
I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm trying to both play the games and I'm trying to learn about them myself, and then make a little bit of money so I can buy better tools and do repairs that I'm not able to do right now.
Awesome. You're kind of trying to become your own solo genius bar sort of thing going on.
Sure, sure. And there's so many other people who I think we were talking about Macho Nacho
Yeah,
Productions like
yeah.
Tito. So many people who are really really good at doing this and have such high quality videos that make it well. They make it look easy. It's a lot harder than that, but they at least show you that you can do it if you have a little bit of skill, or if you feel like maybe you want to start dabbling in repair, refurbishing, or retrofitting systems yourself. It's a good jumping off point. So many good resources. The Discords that I've seen, for
Oh
example,
man, yeah.
and a lot of the people who are making the parts and reselling the parts, to keep us going, to keep the modding community going. Handheld Legend, for example,
Yes.
Retro Repair. Um, there's a couple of companies in the UK,
Hmm.
and they're all coming up with great products, either selling the products that they get from elsewhere, and then making sure that the ones that they sell to you are in good condition and are working, and also coming up with new products themselves that didn't exist before, and just selling things, solutions, I would say. solutions to issues that gamers have had for a long time. Um, One example, for example, being replaceable and excuse me, not replaceable, but rechargeable batteries, USB-C
Hmm.
battery solutions for your Game Boy. That's something that I've seen kind of solve a problem
Yeah.
of having to use
The drop and play USB-C one for the Game Boy Advance is like
yeah,
so clutch.
yeah, it's so nice to be able to give these systems new life. I really like the replacement of the power
Hmm.
chargers, the power jacks,
Yeah.
so that everything is USB-C,
Yeah.
and then make it so much easier to charge your cable, charge your systems without having the cable other than the USB-C.
It leads in actually to my next question because like you see consoles kind of like the 3DS for instance is the first one that pops into my brain, and how installing capture cards in there was really literally a one person in the world job at one point, Katsukity, and then I think Japan laws kind of prevented them from being able to do anything else, and they had to close shop, and then Murky came around and kind of assume the role of 3DS mods and whatnot for the most part. What were some of like? Are there any mods or repairs for that matter that were really difficult for you to kind of like overcome?
That's a good question. For the 3DS, for example, that's a really good
Yeah.
one to bring up. Again, there's a great need for this, especially with the community of speedrunners and of streamers who needed a solution to be able to stream and capture that video. So it's great that it's easier to do that now and to have someone out there who can actually do it. I'm trying to think of for myself what that would be, and I'm not sure. I think a lot of the solutions that I have done have been kind of solid state or a la carte, where the only solution that existed before was to take the parts and put them in one by one. And there's been a lot of people that have started making one board solutions for them
Hmm.
using, for example, PCB way to just create a board that they populate the components onto,
Hmm.
thus making it a lot faster and easier. But if I had to think, I suppose the Bivert mod for the original Game Boy would be the
What's
one for
that?
me. So the Bivert is a way to get higher contrast from your original Game Boy. So
Forgot that contrast wheel is there. Wow.
yeah, the contrast wheel is
It's
there,
been a while since I've had an old one.
and there's very little contrast. And one way you can do more contrast is by inverting it, by turning the polarizer 180 degrees, so it's all negative. So if you're playing Tetris, for example, it's a lighter colored screen background with the Tetris pieces being darker. And if you turn that polarizer sideways, you invert it so that the Tetris pieces are light and the background is dark,
Huh.
right? And if you go into the software, or not the software, but if you go into kind of the logic of the display and you up the contrast by doing a couple things, pulling a couple pins and wiring some components, um, you can make it even darker. So so they call it bivert because you're inverting it twice, and then you're making it higher contrast, and then you're also turning physically the polarizer sideways. So now it's double the contrast. And before, I used to buy a chip that was so tiny that it felt like soldering. It felt like putting like socks on a flea. It was so tiny. You really need like one of those microscopes to be able to do that. And I usually get them from Handheld Legend. Now there's a Bivert mod that allows you to go ahead and just pop it in there and pull the two pins, and everything's right where it needs to be. Make about 3 or 4 solder points, and you're good. You're good to go.
Handheld Legend holding it down right now. Also, I was gonna say I'm probably gonna like edit my face over the or and have like the yeah science when you were talking about
Whoops.
polarizers. I was like, whoa, we're getting deep. I wasn't expecting that. I just last question, and this kind of goes more towards the beginning, but like, what was it like, setting up, going for all these conventions, and like the main reason why you were, going through your collection of games and, selling them?
Yeah, I love going to LI Retro and other similar expos and conventions and maybe smaller events like at Brooklyn Games and Arcade, because you get to meet people there who are just as enthusiastic and interested about the games as you are. Sometimes I sell things that are part of my personal collection. Sometimes I sell things that I get from other various places, friends, family members, and thrifting like everybody else. And you meet somebody, and you say like, "This is so and so," and that person like knows already what it is they want,
Yeah.
and they're excited about it. And you're giving them something that they cherish and or they're going to enjoy, or that they've heard of but they've never actually tried. So it's not just a physical piece. It's nice to be able to meet somebody in person and give it to them and see their eyes light up and be interested and be excited about something that they're purchasing. When I do the video game mods, same thing. I like to try and talk to the person and tell them all about it, kind of the effort that went into it, the mods that I did to it, so that they can maybe appreciate it and have have a deeper understanding and appreciation of what they're buying. I like to tell them that there's support available. You can contact me. 180 days support. Refunds, all that kind of stuff, if possible, because these are handmade items. So sometimes things get a little funky in there, and so there can be support
Yeah. Yeah.
needed. And so I like to be able to engage with people who are interested in the hobby, and it brings me a lot more satisfaction than say selling things on eBay where
Hmm.
it's one and done, it's gone, and you never meet the person.
I was gonna ask. I was like, like just no to the online for a lot of it, right? Just like it's all conventions for the most part.
For the most
Yeah.
part, that's what I like to do. I like to meet the people that I'm selling to. I like to sell locally when it comes to the handmade or the kind of the hand refurbished objects. I think
That's
I think that's kind of important.
That's so critical. I don't hear you don't hear that often, at least like I don't know, maybe it's because I'm so new to like these other conventions that I was telling you before we started recording like how I I've only ever really known like TwitchCon, Anime NYC, Comic Con. Like this is like my first year really delving into like outside of those and going to some of these more intimate conventions. And it's kind of like changed my whole perspective. I'm like, oh, it doesn't have to be like the same stuff over. You get to like actually have an interaction with some of these people going around and stuff like that. Like um, we were talking. I was just randomly with a few other friends, and like someone else comes by, and you're just having a casual conversation about like just trying to find a cartridge for Pokemon Blue when in the midst of everything else, and then you find out like this dude's like a pro Halo player, and like he's got a tournament tomorrow, and you get into all these random conversations you would not normally get into with like an overcrowded like scenario. And not that there's anything wrong with those conventions, it's just having more of a human interaction rather than okay, pay and go, you know?
Yeah, LI Retro is great. This is my first time going, my second time as a vendor, and I had a really great time because it seemed like you're saying a lot of the people are not just there to be at the event, but also participate in some way. So
Yeah.
they're going to the panels. They're giving the panels. They're giving the talks. They're part of some of the communities
Yeah.
there. They're there with their friends, and they're kind of there to engage um, in a way. And yeah, it's great to meet people. It's great to see all the different interests that people have. I'm probably going to be going to the tabletop gaming one, which I don't know anything about tabletop gaming, but people there at LI Retro told me that that there is a little bit of overlap with video
Okay.
games, so that I might enjoy it, and I'm going to give it a try.
Nice.
Yeah.
Other than the tabletop one, what's up next as far as you next convention booths?
It's not a convention, but I will be at Brooklyn Games and Arcade, which is a swap meet that they have at their location. There's two Brooklyn Games and Arcade locations. One of them is a video game store, the other one's a store and arcade. So I will be there on September 14th at my table selling modded Game Boys. So just come and say hi if you're going to be in the area. There will also be other vendors who are going to be there selling various different things, games, but also cards and toys and game adjacent artworks and kind of things that they've made that might be of interest to people who enjoy games and video game related items.
Awesome. Well, this was awesome. Thank you so much for like taking the time for all of this. One thing I will say is like the immediate just like connections that you make. I recommend anybody like that has like some of these more intimate conventions around their area, try it once, see how you feel, because like I guarantee you'll at least walk out with like at least knowing like one or two new people that you would have never thought. There's a lot of like just like you said with the tabletops, there's a lot of just like people are there for certain things, but then you wouldn't realize how much you have in common with, random people just throughout the convention space.
For sure.
Yeah. All right, that's pretty much it. We'll see you guys next time. Take care. Fight for your dreams and your dreams will fight for you.